Nobody gives a shit about your whining, your complaining, or your excuses. And nobody is going to care about your story or my story until we win. And certainly the truth of the matter is nobody, I repeat, nobody is coming to save you. Nobody's coming to save me. So we better start getting in the business of taking the small daily actions and winning. Nobody cares about our story until we win. Let's start winning. Michael McLean, brassballsvideos.com. You can sign up for free. I shoot these daily broken iPhone videos on my morning adventure walks. I'll send them to you for free. You can subscribe at brassballsvideos.com. I'm a ex-professional hockey coach turned 8-figure entrepreneur. Every day I share the cold, hard truth about wealth, about health, and about what it really takes to win in the real world. So, a short story from my life in junior coaching and then lower semi-pro hockey coaching. My mentor in junior and pro hockey was the late, great Wayne Maxner. Wayne was the head coach of the Detroit Red Wings at the age of 34 back in the 80s. He had a tremendous career as a junior hockey coach in Canada and the United States. And I had the privilege of being associated with and mentored by Wayne Maxner for 3 years when I was coming out of university. And I remember walking into Maxner's office one day after practice, and I had been coaching by then since I was age 19. I started coaching, minor youth hockey at 19. I coached all the way through university when my pals were working at Subway and at Wendy's. I was doing the exact opposite. I was coaching junior A full time. And it's interesting, I walked in one day and I said to Maxner, I said, Wayne, man, oh man, some days when we're coaching hockey, it's so easy to think about quitting, how difficult it is, how many things can happen in a day, how many things can go south on you. I said, some days you must feel like quitting. And Maxner turned to me, and by this time he had about 30 years of pro and amateur coaching experience. And he said, let me get something straight with you, young man. He said, before I invest any more time with you, and this was the beginning of our 3-year relationship, he said, you better get something clear inside your brain. He said, number one, if you don't feel like quitting 5 times a day as a hockey coach, as an assistant coach, he said, if you don't feel like packing your bags 5 times a day, he said, you aren't accomplishing jack shit. I'll never forget that. I wrote it down on one of those 3x5 index recipe cards after I went back to my house. If you don't feel like quitting, whatever you're doing, coaching, running a small business, learning how to copyright, being an entrepreneur, founding a new company, managing people, if you don't feel like quitting 5 times a day, then you're not getting the job done. You're in the wrong arena. And I realize that this is the exact polar opposite that you'll hear on anti-social media or from the fluff entrepreneurs or the pretend experts or so-called wet behind the ears gurus. But the fact of the matter is feeling like quitting as a husband, as a father, as an entrepreneur, as a small business owner, as a coach, it's part of the process. It's part of being normal. It's part of being human. But here's the second part that Maxner really nailed home. He said, it's okay to feel like quitting 5 times every day. This sport bringing you to your knees 5 times a day. These athletes making you want to quit 5 times a day. The ownership making you want to pack your bags 5 times a day. It's okay and it's ordinary and it's normal to feel like quitting 5 times a day. You're working on stuff that's that important, that challenging. He said, but here's the thing. It's okay to want to quit. It's never okay to quit. That was the second part of the equation that he really hammered home. And I went home and I had to think about that for a few days. Is that if you're taking on a challenge or you're doing something in your personal life or your business life that's so important, that means so much to you, that you have so much passion, so much obsession, that you eat, sleep, and breathe it, whatever it is, being a husband, your marriage, your relationships, you're building a new company, a new product, you're serving people, you're running a service club, you're running a charity, whatever it is, if you care about it so much that when things don't go your way, you feel like quitting 5 times a day, that's okay. That just means you care. That just means that you're in the right spot, that you're doing what you've been called to do, that you're serving those you've been called to serve, that you care so damn much. But the only thing that's not acceptable, that's non-negotiable, is that you ever do quit. That has been my life for the next 31 years as an entrepreneur. I've been an entrepreneur since I was age 12. I've been running small businesses since age 15. I've coached 22 years of pro and amateur hockey. I've owned my own teams. I've had victories. I've had losses. I've been broke. I've been bankrupt. I've been independently wealthy. I've been free. I've been trapped. I've had personal sovereignty and autonomy. I've had Frankenstein businesses. Highs, lows. I felt like quitting every day. Every day. And it can be the small details that give you an example and that you know you're doing important stuff. You're doing hard and difficult things. That's where personal growth happens. That's where peace of mind happens. That's where happiness, you claim actual peace of mind and happiness by doing hard and difficult things that are important, and you gradually achieve them by stacking those daily wins, little tiny wins day after day. That's where peace of mind is found, in that daily compounding consistency, stacking the wins, stacking the W's. It's not found in hitting home runs and triples every day. I don't hit any home runs. I don't hit any triples. I don't hit any doubles. I'm just a guy who grinds out those singles every day. I grind out singles 7 days a week, 30 days a month, 12 months a year, 365 days a year. Just single after single after single. I can't remember the last double I hit. I can't remember the last triple. I can't even remember a home run in business or in my personal life. It was all just chipping away, stacking up the W's, stacking up the wins, compounding, trusting the process, going all in for 10 years, all in for a decade, trusting the process, controlling the controllables, and then the results, finally, there's a tipping point. After 5 years, after 10 years of daily stacking the W's. And yes, every day feeling like quitting. Maybe once in a day, maybe twice in a day, maybe in a real challenging day 5 times. Where you say to yourself, what the hell am I doing? I could just get a regular job. I could go work for the man. I could be like everybody else. I could be a guy who punches a clock and walks out the door at 5 p.m. and I don't have to worry about payroll. I don't have to worry about taxes. I don't have to worry about managing people. I don't have to worry about bureaucrats and government red tape. I can just go home and drink my beer on the weekends and live a ordinary, quiet desperation life. But you can't, because you got the dreamer's disease like I do. My father calls it you're inflicted with the dreamer's disease, the greatest gift your creator can ever give you. The greatest gift our God can ever give us is the dreamer's disease. If you're a small business owner, if you're an entrepreneur, if you're a coach or a consultant or a teacher, you've got the dreamer's disease. You haven't chosen this life. The truth of the matter is, this life has chosen you. This life of entrepreneurship, of building things, of creating things, of serving people, of creating wealth, of creating abundance, of changing the lives of people around you. Do you realize, and the more I've been in this business, is it chooses you. Your calling has been chosen for you. And part of sticking with that calling and serving other people and living the life of your dreams, a life you never ever need to escape from, a life you never need to vacation from, is the fact that almost every single day you're going to want to quit. At least for 5 seconds, at least for 20 seconds, at least for one time. And what makes you special, what makes you, that pig-headed determination, that grit, that hunger that you have, that dreamer's disease mission. You're a man on a mission. Everybody can feel it. Everybody can see it. The Tom, Dicks, and Harrys of today's world, they think you're strange. They think you're odd. They think you're crazy. But they can feel a man on a mission. You're a man on a mission. You're doing something beyond just yourself, beyond just earning a paycheck, beyond just living a life of quiet desperation, doing something beyond just, making the payments, doing something that you're building significance, you're building legacy. You're going to be remembered after you're gone, and you're going to be remembered by the people that you served. You serve the people that you were called to serve. You're a legacy builder. You're serving people. You're a man of significance. So I just think that it's so important for people to hear and understand that if you're doing something so important that it makes you want to quit up to 5 times a day, like hockey's done for me, like running an insurance company, like running a barber shop, like writing books, like coaching, like marriage, like being a father, dealing with bureaucrats, dealing with red tape, dealing with all of it. And some days you just say to yourself, I'd be better off packing it in. I want you to know that I can relate 200%. I get it. And Wayne Maxner, my hockey mentor, he said to me, Michael, if you're going to be so soft, if you're going to be one of those mental cupcakes, if you're going to be one of those snowflakes that melts under pressure in hockey, he said, you're going to lose games, you're going to get fired, you're going to have to relocate, you're going to have the owner breathing down your back. One day you're a hero, the next day you're the scapegoat. The next day you're a hero, the next day you're the scapegoat. You're going to have your best players play well, you're going to have them go in slumps, you're going to have people traded, you're going to have the fans on your side, you're going to have the fans turn on you, you're going to be hailed as a wizard, you're going to be hailed as the village idiot. If you don't have the mental toughness, the emotional grit, the physical strength, the spirituality, and the belief in yourself, he said to me, I ain't going to work with you. I'm not going to work with somebody who wants to quit and then quits. And ever since that day, I said, you know what? I have it in my mindset, no matter if I'm in business or whether I'm in sport or whether in my personal life, if I feel like things are pushing down on me, or I feel like I'm under pressure, or I'm anxious, or I'm frustrated, or whatever it is, I'm like, I'm supposed to feel like this sometimes. It means I care. It means I've got purpose. It means that I'm on a mission. It means that I'm doing God's work. I'm serving other people. If it was easy, I'm on the wrong path. It's supposed to be hard. It's supposed to be difficult. It's supposed to be a struggle. And it is. And I'm supposed to want to quit. I got up yesterday. I felt like I was 100 years old. I had a flu bug for the first time in 2 years. Something wrong with my stomach. I didn't sleep well. And I didn't want to walk. I didn't want to read. I didn't want to write. I just wanted to lie in bed and lick my wounds. But I got up and I stacked the wins instead. I wanted to quit. I wanted to break the chain of red X's. I just wanted to use it as an excuse. And I just wanted to go back to bed and quit. And that's okay. That's okay. I felt awful yesterday. And nobody will blame me. And society would have said, we understand, you need a day, a mental health day or a physical health day, and tomorrow will be a fresh start. That's not how champions think. Champions show up, they stack the W's, they compound, and they show up when nobody else wants to. So I wanted to quit just yesterday. I didn't want to walk, but I got in my 10,000 steps. And you know how I felt after I got that W? I felt better than any other day because it was harder than most other days. And then I wrote for 2 hours yesterday. I have a newsletter deadline, and I sat there and I drank water and I had half a cup of coffee and I felt miserable, but I got the 2 hours of writing in and I hit the deadline. And you know how I felt? I felt incredible because it was so damn hard. I wanted to quit, but I did not quit. And then sitting there reading and studying and sharpening the axe every day and getting a tiny bit wiser and smarter, being a so-called learning machine like Munger said. I didn't even want to read. My coffee tasted off. I just wasn't myself. And I read a lot more yesterday because I was lying on the couch for a while. And you know how that felt? I came up with some great ideas for videos, for articles, for telegrams to share with you, book ideas. Yesterday was a big learning day. In the afternoon, especially when I was laying there and licking my wounds and trying to get healthy. And it felt so amazing because I wanted to quit. I just wanted to quit, and instead I showed up and I stacked those tiny wins. I compounded those W's. I stacked them. I got them done, and then I cruised the rest of the day, and I did not quit. It was okay for me to think about quitting. Nobody would have blamed me, but I did not quit. There's two things I'm going to share. I'll tell you before I go here. There's two things you should be telling your children. There's two things you should be telling your teenagers. There's two things you should be telling your managers and employees. There's two things that you should be telling your queen. Two things you should be telling yourself every day. It's almost next to impossible not to win in the long term. Next to impossible to not win in the long term if you do just these two things. What are those two things? Your kid needs to know these. Your grandkids need to know these. Your wife needs to be reminded, and you need to live these. Number one, refuse to ever quit. Refuse to ever quit. You can change directions. You can pivot, like the little gurus call it. You can change directions. We can learn, but you just don't quit. When things are hard and difficult, that's a sign that you're right on the right path, that you're doing something important. So we never, ever, ever, ever quit. If you're playing soccer, your kid's playing soccer, they're playing t-ball, and they don't like it, you finish out the season. And then you can pivot and do something else. You can take up piano or chess, but you finish out the season. You don't quit on your coaches. You don't quit on your teammates. You don't quit on the financial investment. We let all the kids off the hook. I used to have a hockey program, and I start with 50 kids, and then by Christmas time, 2 months in, instead of 50 kids, I got 25. They were allowed to quit because it was hard and it was difficult. And quitting is a habit. Quitting like winning is a habit. Quitting like losing is a habit. And like any habit, you know, it's a muscle. And if the more you allow yourself to get off the hook, the more you allow quitting in your business, by your managers, by the people in your world. If you allow quitting, your children, your grandchildren, whatever it is, it just gets easier and easier for them to quit. They get good at it. They get good at it. You let them quit and they'll get good at quitting. So, some pretty important stuff there in number one. The other thing I'd want to say is, if the other second thing of that part two is we never quit. We never, ever, ever, ever quit. But the thing to remember is this. The second part is, if you can learn from your mistakes and only make them 1 or 2 times and you never quit, it's only a matter of time until you win. So you have that mental mindset that it's okay to quit, but I'll never quit. 5 times a day, I'll never, ever quit. I'll pivot, I'll change direction, I'll learn, but I'll never quit. And secondly, you only have to put your hand on that hot stove once or twice. If you can be the type of person and you can teach your children and the people in your world that mistakes are part of winning, that there's winning and there's learning. Winning and learning. But you're never, ever, ever going to win in sports, in business, in life, if you have people that put their hand on the stove once, and they put it back on the hot stove again, and then they put it on a third time. You have no chance to win. If you have people, players, whatever it is, employees in your life who keep putting their hand on the stove and they haven't got the intelligence or the clear-mindedness to understand and learn from their mistakes, 1 time should be all it takes. 2 maximum, your hand on that stove, and then you learn, you pivot, you change direction, and you win. If they can't learn, if they cannot learn by putting their hand on the stove, if you cannot learn from your mistakes, you have no chance to win in any area of your life. So resiliency, pig-headed determination, and a refusal to quit. And secondly, learning from your mistakes. Every experience is an opportunity for you to learn what not to do, and that you don't have to put your hand on that stove 3 and 4 times. You make mistakes, you play to win, you play offense, but you do not make the same mistakes over and over again. That's all I got for you today. I hope that hits home. It's lonely being an entrepreneur. It's difficult being a small business owner. It's extremely hard being a man in 2024. But I'm telling you right now, I live where you live. As a husband, as a father, as an entrepreneur, as a coach, I live where you live. I know your difficulties. I know your wins. I know your losses. I know your loneliness. I know your stress. I know your anxiety. I know your depression. I live where you live. And there's value in understanding you're not the only one. You're not the only one who wants to quit. But don't. Never, ever, ever quit, and don't let the people in your life ever let you talk yourself into quitting, nor let them quit. And secondly, learn. Learn from the mistake machines that we are. We're human beings. We're mistake-making machines. As husbands, as fathers, as grandfathers, as entrepreneurs, you and me are mistake-making machines. Learn from it. Learn from it. Put the hand on the stove once and that's it. You learn. Be intelligent, be wise, be knowledgeable, be relentless. If you haven't got a copy of my book, go to nobullbook.com and grab a physical copy. How to not get your ass kicked in business and life. The link is below, nobullbook.com. If you want to build an email list, have yours crotchety write the emails for you, go to emailmillions.com below. There's a link there too. That's if you want to build a righteous email list slowly. You want me to write the emails for you every week, I'll do it. It's part of the membership. Emailmillions.com, or I think it maybe even Coach, I don't know, the link is below. That's it. I'm in your corner. Nobody cares until we win. Nobody cares about our whining, our complaining, and our excuses until we win. So let's get busy winning. 2 words that changed my life. 2 words that'll change yours. Be relentless.